So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start spruing these copings. And I'm going to use an 8-gauge wax. It's a spool wax. And I will just warm it up a little bit under my Bunsen burner and tack it to the highest part of my coping, or the heaviest, the bulkiest area. Now the metal is going to flow into these sprue leads here, so we want to make sure that it doesn't have any strange angles and that it can freely flow and complete the casting of your coping. So something like this looks good here, and I'll just tack this with some utility wax. I want to put much because I've spent time contouring and smoothing out my coping, so I don't want to mess all that up. Plus I don't want to have to reduce a lot of this when it is metal. So I'll put it on there like that, cut it off about 1/4 millimeter. I'm sorry, 1/4 inch. Do the next one. Sprue to the incisal edge on the anterior copings. We'll let that one cool a little bit. Okay, if it's really hot in your lab, you can blow these off and cool them a little bit before you pull them off of your die. You can also look under light, and if you see any that are thin, you can just flash a little bit, very carefully wax on there. Be very careful at this point. It's best to work on the dye and to go ahead and make sure that you have the thickness on the dye. If you have any little flakes there, you can lightly take them off. And at this point I will just lute my spruce to the former here. Flaring them out. Like I have them here will be best for the metal to flow. So there we have it, the finished copings. They are now sprued and tacked onto the sprue former, and I'm ready to invest them now. Really pretty easy. They will act as a substructure for our porcelain once they are cast. When they are cast, we will finish them down with stones. We will reduce them to a thickness of about 0.2 of a millimeter. One thing I wanted to point out about the waxes that I use, a margin wax that I've used probably on the bulk of these wax ups here. I used it for my first layer of wax, and I also use it on the margin. I like to use the margin wax because it has a very good memory. And what I mean by that, in case you don't understand what a memory is in wax, it is when you pull the wax, or the wax expands. For example, if you pull it off of a die, there may be an undercut, maybe you didn't notice when you were blocking out your dies. The wax will expand and pull away and release from the die. But then once it's released, the memory will go back to where it was. And when you have your casting and fit it down, you're not going to usually have an open margin in that area. So that's what I wanted to express about memory. That's why I choose margin wax to do a lot of my build-up or designing these copings. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful in some way, and maybe you picked up some pointers with waxing today. This is very basic, and anyone can do this. So hopefully it will give you an idea if you want to enter this field, or if you're new or beginner, maybe you've learned something today with this. And anyway, till next time, hope you have a great day and take care.